So in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to use OBS Studio to stream to multiple endpoints. So in this tutorial, you'll learn how to stream to Facebook and also how to stream to YouTube at the same time. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because there are options out there for you. There's Restream and there's Caster and a bunch of other things that do this for you. But most of the time, they have their free tier, which includes YouTube, Twitch, and some other ones. But then when you want to stream to Facebook Live, then that's when they charge you a monthly fee, which everyone has a right to earn an income and provide the services. But if you're like me and you like using open source software to do things without having to pay or just be in control of your stream and the quality and all that stuff, that's why I created this tutorial to show you how to do this. Everything that I'm going to be showing you how to use in this tutorial is free. You can get it online. The only thing that is kind of not easily obtainable is the nginx server, and that's because it uses an RTMP module that's also free, but they aren't bundled together. You'd have to compile nginx from its source code and include the RTMP stream module in it to be able to do what we're doing. But I have a GitHub repository where I have the file on there, and I also have some instructions on how, if you wanted to compile nginx from source, let's say there's a newer version of nginx that you want to use that has some security features, but you also want to include the RTMP module in there. There's tutorials on how to compile nginx from source and also include the RTMP module, and I have this on my GitHub repository. But that's what we're going to be doing. The end goal of this tutorial is to go from this to where you have this video playing and is broadcasting, albeit at different timestamps, to YouTube and Facebook at the same time. And so that's the end goal, and let's get started. And we're going to be using OBS Studio, of course. Let's go to that. So you can get that from here, the obsproject.com. This is a very powerful tool. I use it pretty much in streaming whenever I need to stream or do some custom video editing for anything that has to go online. I use OBS Studio. The other thing we're going to be using is a compiled version of nginx. Now, the reason why I say compiled is because the default nginx server does not come with the nginx RTMP module included in it. The only way you can get it is if you get the nginx plus, which costs money, but the free one you would need to get the nginx source code and compile it in, and then you'd have it with you. But I have created a GitHub repository where I have a zipped up version of this compiled with the RTMP module in there so that we can use it to multicast our stream to YouTube and Facebook and any other places. The other tool we're going to be using is Stunnel. Now, the reason why we need Stunnel is because Facebook, I think some point last year in 2019, decided that they would only allow secure streams to be sent to them. And unfortunately, the module that works in nginx cannot do RTMPS. It only does RTMP. But we're going to overcome that by using Stunnel, which is a kind of like a funnel that will take your non-secure RTMP stream and push it to a secure RTMP stream. So we'll be using Stunnel to do that, to push to Facebook. And then we're going to use another free tool called the Non-Sucking Service Manager. This just allows us to set up nginx in a way to where we can easily stop and restart it without having to have a terminal session open with nginx running. So in order to get started, let's go over and open up OBS if you have it installed. Go ahead and open it up, or you can download it and get it open. And by default, I already have some things configured. By default, when you have OBS installed, it's gonna look like this, just in regular mode. So you want to switch it to studio mode so that way you can preview what you're going to be changing before you hit transition to make it go live. If you just have it in regular mode, it's just going to start automatically showing what you have visible. But in studio mode, you can preview, as it says here at the top, before it actually goes live. So I just have the logo here, and then I have a video here, which you can change your sources. And then in this case, I'm just going to be using a Simpsons movie trailer video, and I'm setting it to loop so that way it doesn't, when it ends, it continues playing the video again from the beginning. And so we have that going, and then the next thing I'm going to do is get nginx and install that on this machine. So I'm going to go to the repo I have, click on this nginx.zip file, click download. Now download the zip file. As you can see, I've already downloaded it here, and then I'll go to that folder, and then using 7-zip or any zip application, just extract it here, and then I'll extract it to this nginx folder. And then for simplicity's sake, go ahead and copy this or cut it and then move it to the root location here, and then just place it here. And the reason why is because we're going to use the non-sucking service manager to create an automatic a service that will start this up for you when your system starts. And so to do that, go ahead and go to the non-sucking service manager's webpage, download the latest release. I think I already downloaded this, so I have it here. And I'm going to go to the same thing, go to that folder where I downloaded it, extract. Now I use this a lot, and because I'm on a Windows 64-bit system, I'm just going to take this one, I'm going to cut it, I'm going to create a folder. You don't have to do this, but this is just for me. And I'm going to create a folder called utilities, and I'm going to paste it there. Now to use this, you need to be running from your command prompt, but you need to be in an elevated state. So I'm going to do cmd and run as administrator. This will allow me, give me privileges that I need to create the service that's going to start nginx. So from there, I'm going to navigate to my utilities folder. So cd utilities, and then I'm going to type nsm install nginx server. And then I'll bring up this pop-up. So it's going to create a service name called nginx server. The path, I'm going to point it to the C drive nginx exe, hit open, and then the startup directory will be the same. We don't need to do any logon or any other dependencies or anything. Then I just click install service. So that's been successfully installed. If you click on the start menu and type services, and then when that opens up, go ahead and search for the nginx server, which is here. So right now it's not started. And so to test that it's not working, I have Chrome open. I'm going to hit localhost 8085. Now this 8085, let me explain what that is. So with nginx is a server that we're going to be using to push our stream to other services, but it also is actually a web server that runs on your machine. So if you go to the configuration folder and right click and open up this nginx.conf file, in there are kind of the configurations for it. So the first thing we have up here is the RTMP section. This is where we're going to be pushing our stuff to YouTube and Facebook. Right now I'm going to comment it out because we don't want to push to either of those services yet. Save that file. And then the RTMP server is going to be listening on port 1935. But the HTTP server is going to be listening on port 8085. And so once I start the service and I hit start, it's going to take a while for it to start. So now that it's started, the HTTP server is running, the RTMP server is running. RTMP is listening on 1935, HTTP is listening on 8085. And so if I go here and I hit refresh, it says welcome to nginx. It just lets you know that your nginx server is running. There's a lot of stuff you can do with nginx, but that's a tutorial for another one. This tutorial is going to be focused on using OBS Studio to broadcast to YouTube and Facebook. So now that we have our RTMP server up and running, we're going to be publishing to this stream endpoint for the RTMP server. So in OBS, you're going to go to settings, stream, and then by default, this is set to Twitch, but you want to switch it to custom. And then the server you're going to be hitting is called RTMP://127.0.0.1:, and then the port. So right now we have port 1935. We said 1935 /stream, which is this subsection here. So when OBS hits our nginx server, it's going to be hitting this section of the RTMP server. And then there are other directives you can use, but for this tutorial, we're just going to focus on the live on, record off, meta copy, and this is just what you need to get started. Your stream key can be anything, but you have to make sure that it's just something that's unique. So right now I just have test. You can make it test 52 or any other stream key that you want. We're not going to be using authentication for now, just to keep this tutorial simple. So right now we have it pointed to the server, and with stream key test, we're going to hit OK. Oh, one other thing. In your output, so right now I've set to advanced. Most of the times it's set to simple, but advanced gives you more options. Here you can set what you're streaming, your bit rate is. So bit rate now is 2500 kilobits per second. Keyframe interval. YouTube will complain if this value is not set to 2, anything higher than 2 or 4. So roughly between 2 and 4. So I'll just set it to 2. The preset quality, max quality obviously is going to require more CPU and more bandwidth. So I'm just going to set it to quality here, and profile is set to high. Now, you might not have this encoder. So I have a NVIDIA GPU, which is why I have this NVIDIA NVNC H.264 encoder. What this does is it offsets all the processing to encode the video stream to my graphics card. If all you have is this X264, then it's going to be CPU bound. So it's going to be using your CPU for all that processing. I would not recommend you use this unless you have a powerful CPU, because it's going to be intensive to be encoding your video stream and at the same time pushing it. So if you have a NVIDIA graphics card, I would recommend that you switch to this, because it's going to offload a lot of the CPU usage when you're doing the processing. So I have this all set up. I have my bitrate set. I have my, reset that back to 0. I'm going to switch that to 2. Hit apply. Where's video output? I'm setting it to 1280 by 720 just for now. You can set it to a higher resolution, but 1280 by 720 is what I'm going to be using for this tutorial. And I'm going to hit OK. So now I'm ready to start streaming. So now we know that our nginx server is up and running because we can hit this IP address. Localhost is the same thing as 12.7.0.0.1. So if I hit that, it still hits the same thing. And so now I'm going to do start streaming. And then if everything goes well, you'll see this green check mark indicating that OBS Studio can connect with nginx and it's streaming at that kilobits per second, and there aren't any drop frames and everything's working. Now, in order to test that your stream is actually working, you can get another tool called VLC Media Player. You can download that, install that, and then once you have that installed, go ahead and open it up. And then you go to Media, Open Network Stream, and then type in that exact same RTMP :/127.0.0.1 and then you'd want to do stream and then the key that you use when setting up your stream. So in my case, I had test here. It's not letting me see because I'm currently streaming. But you do the same thing, stream /test, and then hit play. And then what you should see is that this will start playing this stream. Let me go ahead and reduce the size so you can see it. So as you can see, it's playing the stream. Obviously there's a delay. So if I were to show the logo right above it, you'll see that this will actually play exactly when that logo is added. And then if I take the logo out and then I transition back, then this will disappear at that exact same point. So now we've gotten nginx set up and it's talking to OBS Studio, and OBS is sending the data to nginx. And then the next thing we're going to do is switch. We're going to set up YouTube to receive this stream from OBS Studio. So let's go ahead and get that started. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to mute this and then just transition this over. And then we're going to go to YouTube. So in YouTube, once you've gone to your channel, this is just one channel that I've set up. You go to YouTube, go to your YouTube channel, which will bring you here. Then you can go to go live. And then here, it's going to ask you to create a new stream. So you can create a new stream. I'm going to call it OBS testing. Then you can make it public, add your description, all this stuff, schedule for later, upload a thumbnail and all that stuff. I'm just going to do public, do create stream. Oh, no, it's not made for kids. Unless you're doing one for kids, then you can specify that. And then the thing you're going to want to do is, this is the area you're going to focus on, your stream settings. By default, YouTube will always automatically generate a new key. But what you can do is you can create a specific stream key for nginx, so that when you come here and you comment this, you remove that comment and you put your key here, you don't always have to change this every time you start a new stream. You can just always use a persistent key. In the old interface, it used to say persistent key, but now you can just come here and say, I want to create a new stream key. I've created some here, but let's go ahead and create a new one. So I'm just going to call this one OBS 720p. You can name it anything. I'm going to set the bit rate to 720, which is anything between 1500 kilobits per second to 4000 kilobits per second. I'm not doing 60 frames per second, so I'm just going to go ahead and do create. So the stream key got created. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and I'm going to select it. Now, your stream key is very important because there's no authentication with this thing. So if someone were to grab a hold of your stream key, like copy this, they could stream to your channel as you. So you want to make sure that, yeah, you don't give anyone this key. I'm going to delete this one so you don't have to worry about it. So I'm just going to copy that, and then I'm going to go here to nginx, the config file. Let me just show you where that was again. So I copy nginx over to my C drive, nginx configuration folder. I open this up in Notepad++, and then here I'm going to say push to, now this is here and then this is here. So I'm going to say push to this URL, RTMP, blah, 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 all that stuff, / and then my stream key. And then I'm going to save it. And now the thing I would need to do is restart nginx because I've made a change to this configuration file. So to do that, you go to services, the nginx server, and then just do restart. So you notice OBS put a warning here saying got disconnected from the nginx server and it's trying to reconnect. And so once that's done, let's go back to OBS and see what that looks like. So it successfully reconnected and now it's streaming to that. So let me go ahead and first put the logo on there, and then YouTube sometimes will take anything between 5 minutes to 10 minutes. In some cases, it automatically got that connection. So right now I'm streaming to YouTube at the same time from OBS. So if I were to switch this over and then transition that and then take away the logo. So this is currently playing, and then I should see this stream show up here in a couple of seconds. There's always going to be that delay. And then the same thing, you can always go back to VLC just to make sure your stream is working in case you run into any issues where you don't see anything. So I'm going to do the same thing, open network stream. It still has the same RTMP URL. I'm going to hit play. And then this should start playing the exact same thing that, I have my windows all over the place. But OBS Studio is streaming. So right now I'm streaming to nginx, which is pushing to YouTube, and it's sending it here. So YouTube now has it. I can hit go live and YouTube will go live. So we have nginx pushing our OBS stream to YouTube. So that part is working. So the next thing we're going to do, we'll just keep that going. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to set up Facebook. So to do that on Facebook, I just have my Facebook account here. I'm going to go to live video, and then this will take you to the YouTube's version of their producer. So what you can do with Facebook, not YouTube, you can schedule a live video. So if you want to schedule a live video, okay, I'm going to be broadcasting at a certain time. The thing you want to do is, let me set this for the 9th, for tomorrow. Today's the 8th, so I'll set this for tomorrow. This is where Facebook kind of differs from YouTube. They both will generate a random key for you to stream to, but with Facebook, you can click this button and say use persistent key. Now for your account, this key will always be the same. So this is a test account for me, so I'm not worried that you guys can see this. But for your account, you want to use persistent key, and then this is the key you're going to copy and put into the nginx configuration that's going to be pushed. Well, actually, sorry, not the nginx configuration, in Stunnel. So Stunnel, we're going to set up Stunnel to push to Facebook, but the first thing you need to do is you need to copy this key. So let me switch back to go live here, and so that way I can see this coming through. But then I'm going to come down here and say use stream key. You see it still has use persistent stream key checked. So I'm going to scroll down here a bit. So the server URL here is this RTMPS live Facebook, this URL. We cannot use this in nginx. If you try and put this here, nginx will throw an error saying it can't start because it doesn't know. It will just say it can't start when you try and start it from services. It'll say an error occurred. It's because the RTMP module does not know how to stream to this. So in order to stream to Facebook, we're going to be using Stunnel. So let's go to the Stunnel website, and all these links will be down in the comments. We're going to click on, I'm going to get the Win64-bit version. If you're running this on Win32, I believe this will still install, but chances are you have a Windows 64-bit version. So you click on that to download it. I already downloaded it, and so I'm going to run through the installation. So Stunnel, I'm going to start the installation here. Agree, install for anyone using this computer. Core files, tools, shortcuts, all that stuff. Go ahead and do the install. So here, Stunnel is going to create a, what do they call it? A secure certificate to use to encrypt your data, which is why it's asking you to generate this RSA private key. Here you can just put country name, US. None of this really matters. You can just hit enter, 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 and then it'll generate. So I'm going to click on finish. I'm not going to start Stunnel after the installation. I'm just going to click on finish. And then what you can do is if you go here, so the Stunnel GUI starts, we'll then put Stunnel here in this corner here. So if you right click, go to edit configuration. So currently now, this is what the Stunnel configuration looks like. It just has a bunch of stuff that explains all the different things you can use. You do not need any of this for our tutorial. You can do Control A, delete that file, delete the content. And then you're gonna go back to the GitHub repo, and then there's a Stunnel configuration file in here. So I'm gonna click on this, and then I'm just gonna copy this content. So I'm gonna copy that, and then I'm gonna paste it back here, and then I'm just gonna hit save. So now this file, let me see where it exists in this location. So it's just a Stunnel configuration file that lives here. So let's go there. Let me save this, close this out, and then I'm gonna go to where Stunnel was installed. And then is this stunnel.conf file. Let me go ahead and show you the file names. View, hide extensions of known types. No, I want to see what the file names look like. So stunnel.conf, if I right click and edit that, it now has this stuff in there. So that's all you need. Now, notice the key is not in here. This is just what is set to connect to Facebook. So if we go back to Facebook, notice it just says the same thing, live API s.facebook.com 433. I don't need to put RTMP, I just put this here. Now, this is how Stunnel is going to be talking to nginx. When Stunnel is up and running, it's going to accept anything from this 19350 IP address. Now, this is not the 1935 from nginx, but if we go back to nginx and look at that configuration, for Facebook, I have it set to push to RTMP 127.0.1.9350. So this port is the accepting port that the Stunnel is listening for. And then I'm going to say RTMP, and then I'm going to put my Facebook stream key in here. So Stunnel is going to be listening for this, and then it's going to connect to this, and it's going to push the content that I'm feeding it to Facebook. So let me go ahead and copy my key. I'm just going to click copy. I'm going to go back to nginx configuration file. I'm going to put the stream key here. I'm going to save it. And then, as always, whenever you make a change to your configuration file, you have to go back to services and restart. Now, OBS Studio lost its connection to nginx because I'm restarting it, obviously. And then it's going to try and connect once nginx is connected. Now it's connected. If we go back to YouTube lost its connection for that minute, but now it's back and it's working. But you notice Facebook still doesn't have anything. So nginx is working. OBS Studio is pushing the stream to it. You know, our directive, it's pushing to YouTube. It's also pushing to Stunnel, but right now Stunnel is not running. So if I go here and I do, let's see, reload configurations, it's going to go blue for a second, and then now it says one active session, meaning that it's gotten the configuration that I had from OBS. So the changes I made here, Stunnel has received that, and then now it should be pushing directly to Facebook. So right now we have OBS Studio running. I'm going to just switch the logo over, transition that over. We have OBS pushing to nginx, which is now pushing to YouTube and Facebook. Facebook through Stunnel, which we can see here. And Stunnel is pushing directly to Facebook. So now we have the logo there, and then we have the logo here. And then if I switch this off, take the logo out, and then transition that over we should see the changes. There's usually a delay of about 5 to 15 seconds or so. And then that's how we push to both services. It looks like Facebook is more recent than YouTube, but that's expected. So that's it in a nutshell. We have OBS Studio pushing to nginx, and nginx is then pushing to YouTube and Facebook at the same time. Now, there's one more thing I want to talk about is with Stunno. So now, Stunno will not start by itself. It will, if you reboot your machine, nginx will start by itself because we've created a service for it, but Stunno won't. So you might have everything set up and then all of a sudden realize that your Facebook isn't receiving any stream because Stunno isn't set up. So one thing they've done is you can go to Stunno here where it's installed, Stunno all users, and then you can install the Stunno service install. So you go ahead and, let me go ahead and exit out of this one. So I'm going to go ahead and kill Stunno. So Stunno is no longer working, so Facebook has stopped receiving. So I'm going to go here, back to here, and I'm going to go to, where is it? Stunno all users, and then Stunno service install. I'm going to right click, or not right click, I'm just going to click on it to install. It says service installed. So if we hit F5 here and look for the Stunno service, there it is, a Stunno TLS wrapper. I believe this is it, yeah, stunno.exe. Now I'm going to double click on that. It's set to automatically start when the system starts. So I'm just going to click on start. And then Facebook is now receiving the stream again. So to recap, we have OBS Studio running. We have it installed. I'm going to stop streaming. In settings, we have our stream key pointed to our nginx server. Just RTMP and then the port specified. The section in our nginx configuration is stream. The key we're using is test. The stream can be anything, test can be anything, as long as you make sure that in your nginx config it matches this. We installed nginx and we installed it as a service using the non-sucking service manager. So we have it here. If we go to nginx, so we have it there. Any changes you make to your config file, if you want to add more locations, like if you wanted to push to Twitch or any other RTMP endpoint, you would put that here, save this file, and then come back here and restart. And then once it's restarted, then nginx is now ready to receive from OBS and push to that endpoint. We also installed Stunno as a service. So if you go to the Stunno TLS wrapper, so this is set up as a service. And then if you want to see the configuration file, I believe you can go to the Stunno all users folder here, and this edit stunno.conf file will open that configuration file. So this is for Facebook Live. It's set to accept on this port and connect to this and publish it out that way. If you wanted to use Stunno to, let's say, push to another RTMP location, let's say Facebook Live 2, all you would need to do is change this port to 1 or change this to a different port. Go to your nginx configuration and then change this to match that port, and then this will just push it to the other endpoint in there. So we have that Stunno connected with Facebook. Just undo all these changes, backspace, save, and that's here. And once again, that's in your program file, Stunno config, stunno.configuration. So it installed it there. This is set up. And then, so when you hit start streaming, once it goes green, you know that OBS Studio is connected to nginx and everything's working. To test that it's working, we use video VLC. to play. So if you go to open network stream, you put that stream and then the key that you specified in OBS, hit play. So you know that nginx is receiving the stream. So this is just a way to troubleshoot if something's not working. If this part is working, you know nginx is receiving the stream and is pushing it correctly. I'll just close that out. You can go to your various platforms and then check to see if you're receiving anything. YouTube here is receiving the stream. Facebook is also receiving the stream. And then once you have these two guys, then you know, okay, everything's working, and then you're good to go. So thanks. If you have any questions, post them down in the comments section. I'll try and respond as quickly as I can. But that's how you use OBS Studio to stream to other locations. And thanks. This is just going to be an additional tutorial on how to connect to Twitch. I was messing with it and just to show you how easy it is. Once you follow the main tutorial, this is how you get it done. So we're going to open up the nginx configuration file. Right now we have YouTube and Facebook all set up. But then you're going to go to your Twitch stream. Log into your Twitch account. I'm not a Twitch user. It's very difficult to navigate, but if you wanted to, this is how you would do it. So you'd go to your video producer, and then here you would go to stream manager. So right now, this is where we're going to preview the stream once it comes in. Right now, there's nothing coming in, so it's all empty. So let's go back to where we'll get our stream key. So if you go to account settings, let me see. Oh, there it was. That's so confusing. Okay. So from your account, just go to channel and videos. And then here, this is where you'll get your stream key, or maybe just show. I understand. Copy the content, you get your stream key. And then to know specifically where to go to actually get the RTMP URL. So Twitch has an ingest URL. So if you go to, it'll show you, so the recommended endpoint you can use just based on your location. So if you're in the United States, I'm closer to Dallas or than Colorado. So this is going to be your RTMP URL you're going to use. So you'd copy this RTMP URL. If I can copy it, go to nginx. I'm just going to label this one as Twitch. Push the RTMP, and then you're going to replace your stream, that section there, with your stream key. So I'm going to copy that, and make sure you put a semicolon at the end, or else nginx won't start. I'm going to save this. And then as always, go to my nginx server under service and restart. If everything goes well, the nginx server will restart. OBS Studio wasn't streaming, so I'm going to go back here, and then I'm going to hit start streaming. And then if I go back to Facebook, it still says connecting to live. It got the video. Let me go ahead and check YouTube. Let me refresh this. It says excellent connection, but it's not showing me anything. So I'm just going to refresh that. And then it says looks like you're ready. There, it's got it. And then I'm going to go to Twitch. And then Twitch also has the stream. So now we're streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, excuse me, at the exact same time, all through the power of using nginx to do this. And like I was saying, you can add multiple endpoints here. It's all based on how much upload bandwidth you have. And let's go ahead and take a look at the CPU processing power. So right now, my CPU is sitting steadily at 4%, so my CPU is not really doing anything, and that's because most of all this stuff is being handled. Let me open up Task Manager. it's handled by my GPU. So if I go to performance, so here you see my GPU is being used at 21%. And that's because all this encoding is being done by my GPU. So this is one of the cool reasons why it's important to have at least an NVIDIA-based GPU that has the let me go back to it. The NVENC encoder ability. Not all NVIDIA cards do, so you want to make sure you get one that does. And if you have that, then it'll just make using OBS a dream to stream to multiple endpoints. And then obviously the other thing that you need is your upload speed. So if you have crappy internet, I would not recommend having multiple endpoints. But if your upload speed can handle it, there are places around the United States that have gigabit uploads, and your cap can also handle it. Then you can add as many endpoints that you need here without reducing any quality to any of those endpoints. All right. If there's any other questions or any other things you might need, go ahead and ask in the comment section, and I'll get back to you next time.